What's going on, everyone? I'm Vinny Costa, editor of Street Muscle Magazine and your host of the RodCAST, brought to you by Lucas Oil. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Greg Acosta, editor of Engine Labs and the all-around tech guru. What's up, Greg?
Hey, how you doing, Vinny?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. I am excited about today's episode. I don't know about you, but I have known about Copart for a very long time. I've never purchased anything from them. I've always been like really interested in the whole process and wanting to buy something from them, but I never have because, as you know, I live in California and there's some roadblocks, which I want to get into with Scott, our guest today. Have you been aware of Copart?
For a little bit. I know a couple people who've bought, projects through them.
Okay.
But that's never been I like to drive it, once I buy it first. So that's not always the case with, the Copart deals.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's like, Scott will get into it, but it's kind of like an auction house where they're like an intermediary between insurance companies and, private citizens.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, insurance companies will deal with cars that have been in an accident, where it could be anything from like a total loss, completely, demolished car to something as bad as like hail damage where, the insurance company and the previous owner can't come to an agreement, or they don't want to for whatever reason. I'm not really sure. I'm not an insurance broker or a claims specialist. But anyways, they sell those to the general public in an auction format. This is pretty cool. A lot of deals can be had on there. I know that. Like you can, if you're a dealer or just a savvy buyer, I think you can get some pretty stellar deals.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will use it, because they're going to build a race car, race car these days, street strip cars.
Yeah.
But, where they're not worried about collector value, or they just need a chassis, they just need a platform, a canvas.
Exactly. Or, I mean, dude, there's, dozens of YouTube channels out there where people are just, they'll buy a car from Copart or, just for the drivetrain, and swap it into something else, building crazy Hellcat swapped, Miatas and things like that. Or even, just buying cars to rebuild. Like one of my favorite channels is this channel called Goon Squad. I think it's spelled with a Z. And it's these two brothers that live in Kentucky or Tennessee. I don't know. They have like thick Southern accents though. And literally like that's what they do. That's their gig. They rebuild cars, and they've done a Trackhawk. They've done a Lamborghini Huracan. They've done a 458 Italia. They've done Corvettes, Camaros. I think right now they're working on their first classic Camaro. It's a 69. And they got a ZL1, like a modern ZL1, I think like a 2018. And they're putting that drivetrain into the Camaro. So it's kind of a cool process. You can like go on their channel. If you guys are watching, plug for you guys, but you can go over to their channel and they have a bunch of different playlists for all the different cars that they've built. They've done Raptors. I think they've even done like motorcycles and stuff too. So anyways, enough plugging them. Go check them out. Subscribe. Also subscribe to us if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Greg, I think we're ready to get into the interview. But before we do, we should probably take a word from our sponsors, right?
Yep. That sounds good.
Performance parts for your American Classic are available from POL at performanceonline.com. POL is the perfect upgrade for your classic car or truck. Whether you're hitting the strip or going on a road trip, POL's performance braking, steering, suspension, fuel injection, exhaust, radiators, rear ends, and more are top notch and can be seen in our showroom floor. Cruise on down to our show-stopping showroom and take a look at our brand new Blackout Series parts, or order POL parts from performanceonline.com and have them shipped straight to your garage.
Scott Booker, everyone. How are you, sir?
Doing really good.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here today. I know you're taking some time out of your busy schedule, so it means a lot. Thank you.
No, I'm happy to be here. This will be fun.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Like I said, I know you're busy, so we won't keep you for too long. But why don't you kick things off for us and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do for Copart, and how long you've been there, all that good stuff.
All right, sounds good. So I'll riff a little bit. If you got any questions and want to pause me, that's fine. So I grew up in Oklahoma. Spent a lot of time there growing up as a kid. Moved back to Tennessee where my family was for a period of time. Ended up going to school there in Memphis, Tennessee. Got out of school and I've got this common thread in my background, which is sort of a combination of product development and marketing. I started off early in my career with a company called Accenture, developing large-scale CRM solutions for hotels and casinos. Spent a lot of time with Hotels.com from startup days all the way up through public company days. I've done some various startups over the last 4 or 5 years, again, all in this product development and marketing kind of area, developing large-scale websites, mostly on the internet side, obviously. And in the last year, I've been with a company called Copart, which, obviously got us connected, and we can talk more about that. But obviously in the automobile area and industry, and we're doing some good stuff here. So pretty excited about what we're up to.
Certainly, man. That's awesome. I have a couple questions. So you said that you were with Hotels.com from startup days all the way to when they went public. I know Copart has experienced some significant successes in that same arena. What was that like to see like a fledgling website take off and really just succeed all the way to an IPO and stuff?
Yeah, man, it's probably the funnest part of my career, to be honest. I got hired. It started. We're based in Dallas, Copart is, and I was in Dallas at the time. And the company actually started off as Hotel Reservation Network. It was a phone-based business, so you had to call in to get a special rate and book your hotel. And then when I came on board, the original founders had just sold the business to a company called IAC, Interactive Corp, owned by Barry Diller. And we were just moving on to the internet at the time, 2003, 2004. And man, it was just an amazing time to be there, because the concepts of how you develop a website and connect with a consumer in that kind of arena, and then this massive amount of consumer demand coming online, trying to figure out how to buy stuff online, it just all came together at the same time. And so I was there for almost 10 years, 5 years here in Dallas. Right after I started, IAC, Barry Diller, decided to spin off. He bought us first, and Expedia and Hotwire and TripAdvisor, a bunch of companies in the travel space, online travel space. And then we spun out like within 6 months of me starting to create the Expedia group, which was, the first real massive online company like that in travel. And so it was there for 5 years here in Dallas. And then we moved the world headquarters to London because we had so much growth going international. So I got a lot of international experience. When I left the company, I was the president of this $7 billion company in revenue and operating in 88 countries and 35 languages. So just a tremendous time of growth, and a really successful part of my career during my days there at Hotels.com.
Definitely, man. That sounds exciting. I mean, to make a huge move like that and be a part of that, it's really cool. And then you make a move. How did that transition to where you're at now? And yeah, how did that whole happen?
Yeah, so it's when I tell you the story about it, you'll probably people kind of understand. Like, I had such a good growth run with Hotels.com that when I left, I'd been in England for 5 years. I had 2 boys. The oldest son was just about to enter high school, and I really felt like I wanted to bring the kids back and let them finish up in high school in the U.S. And if I'd stayed, I would have had to, commit for another 6 years for both boys to finish up. So ended up deciding to leave, and honestly, just couldn't find something within the Expedia family at my level at that point in time. So I was eager to also try something new and find another company that had that kind of, progression. And honestly, it's hard to do. It really is. So I dabbled with a few startups or smaller companies during the last 4 or 5 years. And then I got a call last summer from a colleague in the travel space. He goes, "Hey, I know Jay Adair, who's the CEO of this company that I want you to talk to. Jay's looking for somebody with your skill set." He said, "It's probably the best company you've never heard of." And I was like, wow, that's high praise. So jump online, start looking at the fundamentals of the business. You know, Copart was it just blew me away that the fundamentals of the business have been so good. I love the story of how it progressed, and I love the opportunity to come on board to enhance the user experience, the marketing of how we go about getting. So my role is chief marketing officer, chief product officer, and I'm head of Copart Direct, which is the biggest part of that is Cash for Cars. And so on the marketing side, what we do is we are all about how do we acquire, activate, and retain customers through all the different channels you might imagine. And on the product side, we're trying to create the best possible user experience or two-sided marketplace where you're bringing together buyers and sellers where both of them can benefit in a win-win situation.
Right.
And then obviously Cash for Cars, we can talk about later. We're buying cars from individuals and selling them through our auction. So it's a great business. It's been around, you know, for a while and very stable and obviously growing like crazy. So super attracted to it. And that's the reason why I came here.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're glad that you're there and you're making moves in the marketing space because, like you mentioned before, you know, when you got hired on, your buddy told you that it was the best company that you never heard of. And you know, I mean, I work in the automotive sector, and so I've known about Copart for years. I've never actually been a customer, but I constantly I go onto the Copart website and I'm looking at stuff that's for sale. Projects, things like that. I know people that have used it and had great experiences. But since you came on as a marketing director, has that been like a chief goal of yours to expand the awareness to like the average consumer?
Yeah, it has. So a little bit about the business. So it started in 1982. Vietnam veteran Willis Johnson came back from the war and actually set up shop in Northern California. And honestly, you know, it started with working with insurance companies. When cars got in accidents, he would take those on in a consignment mode, sell them through an auction, and so that insurance companies could get paid quicker and that the individual consumer that had the accident could get their money quicker. And honestly, this is a classic roll-up strategy where just, you know, he and his son-in-law, Jay Adair, who's now the CEO, started buying up all these little companies that did the same thing across the country until now you've got one big giant company doing this. And so over the time, we've been expanding our supply of cars through insurance sellers. You know, part of that is more people having cars, more people driving, but a lot of it is there's so much technology in cars today that it doesn't take much to look at that equation to say, is it going to cost me more to fix it versus selling it through an auction? And so we're getting more cars totaled through that way. And you know, honestly, some of these cars are very drivable. I mean, think about hail damage, perfectly drivable cars, fixable cars, but it's easier for them to sell it through an auction than it is to, you know, actually fix it because of the cost that's involved now. And then since then, we've been adding, you know, sellers in the lending institution area, things coming off lease, things of that nature, finance companies, rental companies, fleet management. So we're kind of moving up the ladder with more and more cars. You know, we're well over 3 million cars a year now selling through the site. And our buyer base has expanded. And part of that is what we're doing in marketing. So you know, you've got anything from salvage guys that just want to pick apart a car for parts. You've got consumers on the other end that might want to buy, fix, flip. And in the middle, you've got businesses that are looking for cars to run their business. You've got exporters. So a big portion of our buyer base is coming from overseas now. I think if I look at my top 10 list of countries, visitors coming in on a daily basis, frequently, you know, countries from the Eastern European area, Ukraine, Poland, Nigeria, I mean, all over Mexico and South America. So we got a buyer base that now has been expanded worldwide, and we've been able to use our marketing power to get the word out so more buyers come on board. So it's been a really good combination of bringing these two buyers and sellers together in this marketplace.
That's awesome. I imagine from a marketing and sales standpoint, I mean, that's your dream, right? You want more products to sell. So if you have this ever expanding landscape, like that's just makes your job really easy.
It does. You know, I wouldn't call it easy. You know, it's because anytime you get involved with auctions, and you know this being in the car industry, every state has different rules and regulations. And so we have to deal with that. In a lot of states, it's pretty easy for a consumer to jump in and buy a car. And a lot of cars that we have, you can just buy now, and you don't need to worry about, the auction rules. But if you go through an auction process, you do have to kind of take into account what the state regulations are. So when you run into that situation, we have brokers there that are very good partners with us. They've been around a long time, that we help that consumer get involved with a broker so that they can make those transactions that they need to. So we'd like that to kind of improve over time, and I think it will. And the title thing, that this is one that actually pandemic has helped a little bit. Getting through the DMV stuff is not a fun thing because it's mostly paper based, or has been up to this point. But pandemic has really, I think, opened the eyes of a lot of the DMV and states to where they're more in line, or starting to adapt more online technology. So I hope to see that become easier as we go forward too.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. As a multiple vehicle owner, you got a bunch of projects. Some are non-operational, some need to be registered. I mean, just filing all that paperwork's a pain in the butt. So to your point, yeah, I can't wait for everything to be digital.
Yeah.
You touched on a couple of things though. I think a reason that I've not become a member or purchased a vehicle through Copart, because there have been many that I wanted to. I mean, there's so many amazing deals like that you mentioned that you can find, and that's because, one, I live in California, and I guess the school of thought is that you have to have like a dealer kind of license in order to purchase through an auction site like that. Is that true for every state, or is that just California? How does that work?
Yeah, California, unfortunately, is one of the more difficult ones with regards to those licensing regulations. But no, not every state requires that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a pretty good amount that you can buy a car through an auction without having a dealer license. But when that comes into play, that's where we bring our broker partners in that have those licenses, and it's kind of they handhold you through that process and take care of all that legal paperwork so that you don't get yourself in trouble with the state, and or we don't get ourselves in trouble with the state. So, and that happens a lot. We've got long-term broker partners that help with these purchases, and it works pretty smoothly.
So a prospective buyer would reach out to this brokerage company and say, "Hey, I found a vehicle that I want to purchase," and they would kind of guide them through that whole process.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, and those can all be found on the Copart website?
They can.
Oh, very cool. You mentioned earlier that the company's seen a lot of growth through acquisition. Fortune magazine has said, put Copart on their list many times, multiple lists actually. So they had them on their Future 50, 100 fastest growing companies, and of course, Fortune 500. What does that process look like when Copart, purchases another auction company or auction house, I guess? Does Copart have a standardized system that they roll out, or this is just kind of a nerd question for myself? What does that process look like? And you might not have knowledge of that, but if you do.
Yeah, so I've been with the company for about a year, and we've done some minor acquisitions through the process or time that I've been here. First, I would just say, in general, the company is run very, very well, and they recognize as a leadership team, and this comes from Willis, the original founder, who's still the chairman, and his son-in-law, Jay, who's the CEO, recognizing that we can't be successful unless we bring these employees, these new companies in, and make them a part of our family. And it's one of the things you hear about Copart, if you talk to any of the workers that are here, is it does very much feel like a family, and Jay and Willis very much promote that. So part of the acquisition effort, and in fact, there's a couple of people on the executive team right now that came through an acquisition.
Wow.
Jay and Willis started on the West Coast, and they bought a company that had a lot of the East Coast, brought them together, and our chief operating officer came from that East Coast company. And so it's really just getting aligning with core values and making sure that the employees coming in feel like a family and are part of everything that we're doing. That's a big part of it. And and I think we wouldn't have been successful as in the growth that we've seen without doing that successfully. It just wouldn't work. And so there's a good process in place to make sure that those acquisitions come in and get fruitful right away.
Certainly. That was something that was really cool. Once I started researching the company a little bit, and I found out that it was a small company to begin with, privately owned, and like you mentioned, he's a Vietnam vet, starts this thing, and now it's this massive auction house. It's really cool. And now they have you working on the marketing side. So I get this email. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I get an email talking about this challenge, this Copart challenge. Scott, what can you tell us about it? I would try to sum it up, but I would do a horrible job. So I'll let you do it.
Yeah, it's called the Rebuild Challenge, and this is my second year to do this. We recognize that one of the ways to get our name out, particularly for small businesses that are buying cars for their businesses, or wanting to buy and flip, or fix and flip, or for consumers, is using social media. And so we've had several partnerships with influencers over the last year that I've been here, and even before that. And we recognize that's such a good way to get our name out there. It's good brand building, brand awareness building, and kind of category. So this thing has actually been going on for about 8 years, this Rebuild Challenge. And what it is that it's like a photo contest, if you will, where people that buy and fix and flip cars can submit their photos, 3 pre-photos before they actually start to build, and 3 post photos. And we evaluate those photos and come up with winners, of which the first place winner will get a $5,000 check from us. Second place gets $2,000, and the third place winner gets a $1,000 cash prize from us as well. So it's very easy to do. The entries, all the information is on the site. It's copart.com/rebuild. The dates for submission are open now. They're going to be open for up until August 27th. And then voting will begin in September. We'll finish the voting up kind of mid-October, 10-15 time period. And then we'll announce the winners at the end of October. So super cool. If you're into, buying cars, fixing them up, and, taking pride in what you do, then, send your photos in. We'd love to reward you for what you're up to.
That's awesome, man. In post-production, we'll roll in some photos of the past year's winners. That way our audience at home can check out, the kind of work that you're talking about. But man, that is so cool. I'm a huge fan of like YouTube channels like that. Like a couple that I follow are Goon Squad and Backyard Boys. And those guys openly promote Copart and some of the amazing deals that they've had with Copart, and then rebuilding. You can literally watch a series of videos of these guys rebuilding these cars. It's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun with the work that we've done with some of these folks. We've had, folks like Hoovie's Garage and Dare Garage. We've got a Hoonigan thing coming up with Larry Chen. And
oh, cool.
And what's fun about it is we don't prescribe what kind of car they purchase from us. It's kind of what they're working on or what they're thinking about. Or actually, a lot of them just go to the yard and say, hey, I like this car. It's a good deal. Let me see if I can bid it and win it. And when they do, then they, film everything they do from the time they pick it up and start working on it. And, for guys like us who watch shows on TV where people are fixing cars and so forth, it's super cool. And it's kind of bite-sized chunks. So you don't have to sit down and watch, 12 hours of episodes to see what happens or what have you. It's, it's usually within an hour or two, you can see everything that's happened. And it's been really cool for us. And it's gotten our name out there really well. And we really like it.
That's exciting, man. That's really cool. I know that you said it's been going on for 8. Is this the 8th year?
8th year for Rebuild Challenge. Yeah.
That's really cool. You mentioned something about working with Larry Chen. Is that something you can talk about?
We've signed a deal with him. He's actually in the process of producing his videos with us. I think in the next couple of months, we should start seeing the first episode come out. So we're pretty excited about it.
Very cool. Yeah, he's a fantastic photographer. I can't wait to see some of his videos and what you guys do together. Hey, so now that some particulars about the contest before I move ahead. Is there any submission limit? Is it, you can, as many people that submit? I mean, is there any limit on that?
Off the top of my head, I think you could submit as many as you want. As long as you're not a previous winner, you can't submit the same car again. We'd love for you to have purchased the car from Copart, but it's not required.
Okay,
so
that was my next question.
Yeah, that's another thing to think about from that standpoint.
Really? Okay. So, what besides how do you guys track if it's the same car in reality, right?
Well, we have various judges, that are involved. You do have to provide some VIN information for us so that we can just make sure that we're not getting scammed and things of that nature. So we want this to be as fun for everybody as we can, but also play by the rules. So, so that everybody can have fun with it.
Gotcha. Are you going to be part of the judges panel?
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, so do you guys have a specific set of criteria? Maybe I'm trying. I'm not going to enter, so I'm not trying to cheat here. I want people to know.
No, I think it's, we've got a lot of car people that work here, as you might expect. And we kind of run the gamut with several departments, marketing, operations, who sees all kinds of cars all the time. We have some legal representation there. And then we've just got some folks in various departments that, fix and rebuild cars. So we've brought together a little committee to review the submissions. And honestly, it comes down to, what kind of effort the person went through, what did they put into it over time and the transformation. And we all get a vote and we see who comes out on top.
Awesome. Okay. Well, do you have a brand preference? Can I give my audience that edge, Scott?
A brand preference? No, not if you go back and look at some of the pictures, which you're going to share, it runs the gamut. There was a Hellcat last year that won. There was a Chevy Chevelle the year before, 69, which was super cool. A few years ago, a really tricked out Subaru Outback won. So it's, there's no limitation from that standpoint.
Okay, excellent. Well, I hope our viewers and our audience at home, they take part in the challenge, and leave us some comments in the comment section below. Let us know, what car you're building, and we'll keep an eye out for it. Scott,
cool.
I know you want to talk a little bit about some of the Copart subsidiaries. I don't even know if you can call them that. Like offshoots. You mentioned Cash for Cars.
Yeah, so we have several here that kind of got pulled in or have grown organically. Cash for Cars we purchased the URL from a person that was doing this kind of business, and over time we've just grown it. And essentially, this is a business that will purchase cars from individuals. So you just go to the website, cashforcars.com. You can enter your information about the car, and we'll offer you, an amazing offer. And we'll take your car off your hands. We basically will pick up the car within 24 hours and bring it to our auction yard and get it auctioned off. So if you're looking to sell your car, super easy process. There's really nothing that could be more easy than what we're doing on the Cash for Cars side.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I think the only thing that comes to mind that's even comparable to that would be sort of like what they do with CarMax. But even then, you have to go through the whole process where you take the car down there and you leave it and they have to do an inspection and all that. So, that sounds even easier.
Yeah, it is. You don't have to actually see anybody if you don't want to, and the driver will come and pick up the car from you and give you your check. That's the only, the one touch point, but pretty much everything these days can happen online. And so we've got algorithms that once you give us your information, we'll spit you out a price. And if you like the price, which we think we're obviously working really hard to make it as competitive as possible, we'll come pick your car up within 24 hours and bring it back.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like the Copart team and everybody over there, you guys are really focused on doing things that nobody else is doing. That's cool.
Yeah, we're trying.
You also, I think during my research, I found Crash Toys and National Power Sports. What can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so natural extension from the car days, right? If you think about all the avenues of sellers that we get by way of cars, we also now and over time have expanded into other types of vehicles. So Crash Toys is a brand that basically auctions off power sports equipment. So largely motorcycles, but it also includes boats and RVs and all those kinds of things. They're all on the Copart website, by the way. And the majority of those sales go through the Copart website. So you can focus your efforts there and you can get great motorcycles, great boats, great RVs. All of these, are coming from various sellers, just like the cars are. So insurance companies where maybe it had been in an accident, could have come through a lending institution where it's coming off lease. And we put them up on the site and sell them, every week.
That's awesome. So, okay, that's really cool. So it's essentially the same thing, but just for a different type of vehicle.
Correct.
That's cool.
And then National Power Sports is a little bit different. It's not really a consumer play. It's more of an online auction house for dealers. And so we use online technology just like we do with Copart. By the way, we were the first to go completely online. We did this in 2003. And honestly, when I talk about Copart, if you haven't heard it come through, we're really a technology company because everything we do is based on what we can build from our technology up. And so our online auction capability is patented. We put it out in play in 2003, and the same kind of technology runs National Power Sports and everything else we do. So dealers use National Power Sports auctions to sell their vehicles through that network, and it's more like a business-to-business dealer play. They will, however, also buy your bike. So we do that on the Copart or Crash for Cars side, but they also do it in NPA. So if you're looking to sell your bike, either one of those companies internally will buy it from you.
Interesting. Hey, Scott. So this is another one of those selfish questions. So living in California, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and we mentioned the whole dealer licensing thing. I know that you guys have partners that, you know, a prospective buyer like myself could work with, but have you seen people basically get their license just to take part in the auctions at Copart? Yeah,
I haven't actually seen that myself. You know, I haven't been here that long to see that, but I know companies do that. If they feel like they're doing enough to warrant that kind of, you know, grabbing a license like that, absolutely. I hear that all the time internally where people have done that. I haven't witnessed it myself, but yeah, I think that's very doable.
Okay. I might have to look into that.
Yep.
Take part of your challenge next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so as we wrap things up here, Scott, I just want to give you the opportunity. I want to give you the floor one more time. Where can people go check out the challenge, all the rules, how to enter, all that stuff?
Yeah, it's super simple. So you can go to copart.com/rebuild. And the entry submission process, it's open now. It opened on July 8th. You get 3 pre-photos before you start the build, 3 post photos to show us how your amazing work came to life. And make sure you submit everything by the end of August 27th. And then we'll go through a process of our committee internally to review those submissions. And by the way, we're getting a ton already, which is awesome. But that'll start September 20th and go through October 15th. And we'll announce the winners at the end of October 28th. You can win $5,000 if you are a grand prize winner. Second prize is $2,000 and third prize is $1,000. Love for you to be able to buy this car from Copart and actually do this, but you can submit any other car that you've actually rebuilt over time.
Are the entrants able to provide you guys with any background information on the car? Or
that'd be awesome. We love it. Yeah, a lot of the backstory on these cars is what makes it fun for us to judge and you know, review that. So that'd be cool.
Awesome. Are you guys tracking this anywhere on social media? Can people watch what's going on?
Yeah, we are. It should be on all the major social media platforms, especially Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. I believe we're doing Twitter, so it should be all over. We're making a big deal about this because it's something that it's one of our big outreaches for brand awareness throughout the year. What's
the Copart's Instagram and Facebook and all that? It's just Copart?
Yep. I think you just go do a search on Copart, you'll find us.
Okay. I'll get with your team and we'll run the hashtag in the link below. That way you guys can search and look at all the cars that are being built for the contest. Scott, thank you so much one more time, man. We really appreciate you making time to do this and just create some awareness about this really, really cool challenge.
Happy to do it, man. Anytime. Good luck to your listeners. Hopefully you get some good submissions there.
Certainly, man. Do you have any parting shots before we let you go?
No, I don't think so.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Jim McElvain from Optima Batteries, and I'm here today to talk about why batteries aren't made like they used to be. You've heard people say that, and it's true. Batteries aren't made like they used to be made. They're made better than ever, but people are still having battery problems. So why is that? Because new vehicles are more demanding than ever on their batteries. I came out here to Chevrolet Silverado that had air-conditioned seats, it had satellite radio, it had Wi-Fi, it had OnStar, it had all kinds of stuff. And you need strong batteries to power all that. So the batteries they're putting in vehicles today are sometimes 30% bigger than the batteries they put in 10, 15, 20 years ago. So what can you do to extend and maximize the performance of your battery regardless of the brand? Use a battery charger or maintainer. Use it once a month. This is the Optima Digital 400 charger and maintainer. Anybody can use it. It's no spark technology, so you won't hurt yourself using it. Positive on positive, negative on the ground. That's it. It'll do the rest. Take care of your battery. It'll take care of you and your vehicle.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Greg, that was a fun interview, man. Scott's a very knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds really interesting. I mean, I know with my current driveway situation, I'm not going to be entering because
dude,
if I dragged home anything, let alone something that maybe wasn't exactly in the best condition, I would probably be sleeping in it.
Yeah, man. I need another project like I need a hole in the head. Isn't that a weird phrase or saying?
Technically, you do need several holes in your head, but I think you have more than you need.
Is that where that saying comes from, you think?
I have no idea.
We're gonna look that up for you guys next week. I will forget and I won't mention it. But anyways, no, listen, that giveaway challenge is really cool, man. I think that Copart is doing something very unique. To Scott's credit, I think maybe this year they're doing a little bit better job marketing it, getting the word out, because I guess it's been around for several years now. Or maybe I've just had my head in the sand, man. But this is the first year I'm aware of it, and I think it's really cool for enthusiasts to get involved. And it's like ridiculously easy to enter.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you have to jump through a qualification list and have 9 different layers of entrance. 3 pictures. There you go.
Yeah, exactly, man. You submit your pictures before and after. You give the VIN information. You don't even have to give like a bio or anything. Scott said obviously that'll help, and they really enjoy reading the backstories. And I can only imagine that if you were to purchase the vehicle originally from Copart, it would probably help your case a little bit. But nevertheless, I mean, it's very, very easy process. I think it's really cool. Frankly, I would be very interested in entering myself in the coming years.
That would be cool.
I could see doing something kind of crazy, man. Maybe a giveaway, right? That
would be very cool. I just can't even imagine the time putting into it though. Like that.
Yeah. That'd be pretty nuts. But who knows, man? Now that I'm best friends with Scott, you can help us out. No, but seriously, thanks to the whole team over at Copart for setting that up. Thank you, Scott, one more time for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody at home, for tuning in and watching and staying loyal to us. Again, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a like, comment. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what you want to see more of. And let us know if you're planning on entering that Copart challenge. And tell us what kind of car you're going to be entering, and we'll keep an eye out for it. Let us know if you have a YouTube channel of your own that's tracking that build, and we'll send people over there. I also want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors for this episode, because without them, we wouldn't be able to continue doing this. Of course, that's Performance Distributors, ProCharger, ARP, Liqui-Moly, Silver Sport Transmissions, Holley Performance Brands, Optima, Performance Online, and of course, our title sponsor, Lucas Oil. Big shout out to them. I mean, those brands are as good as it gets. We've been working together for a really long time, and I support all those products that they make. I have them on my own personal cars, so I feel lucky to work with them.
For sure.
Greg, before we let the people go, what's going on Engine Labs, bro?
Well, this week we actually have a couple cool things. One is hydrogen combustion. One of Jason Fenske's videos from Engineering Explained, looking at Toyota's recent attempt. Well, I shouldn't say attempt. Attempt implies it didn't succeed.
Right.
Where they basically used hydrogen as an actual combustion fuel, not a hydrogen fuel cell, to enter a 24-hour endurance race. And it's quite a bit harder than they thought originally, but it went, I want to say, a little over 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
That's damn good.
Yeah, it really is. And considering this is the first real
Yeah.
attempt at hydrogen combustion, the video is pretty straightforward. Like, it's not trying to sell anything.
Dude, I saw. So for those of you at home, Greg and I and the whole editorial staff at Power Automedia, we all use a software to create the articles that you read on our respective websites, and so we're able to see what the other editors are working on and posting and stuff, and we work together in that way. So I saw the article that Greg's talking about. He scheduled this actually, like a week ago or something like that, Greg?
About a week ago, yeah.
And I was immediately excited. I was like, oh, that is going to do really well for you on Engine Labs. I think people are really going to like it. Because I know absolutely nothing about it. It sounds like most people don't, because it's a very new technology that they're trying. But when you talk about internal combustion engines, like we know what that is. And we also know what hydrogen is. Why haven't they tried to work together in the past? Why is this a new thing? What do you know about it, Greg?
Well, from what I could tell, number one, there's a lot of difficulties in producing, storing, transporting hydrogen, because I mean it's at 10,000 psi, operating pressure.
It's a very volatile.
I mean, just think of the Hindenburg, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the humanity. So I mean, think about the Pinto jokes, right?
Yeah.
Just, but one thing I noticed on our Facebook comments, and if you guys don't think we don't read them, you're wrong. A lot of people are getting into the conspiracy theory side of things, talking about, oh, the guy who could make a car run on water, man. But that is the theory behind the car that runs on water, is hydrogen being separated from oxygen, and combusted.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there is something that was said online that made a lot of sense, which was that, big oil wouldn't allow it. Well, at this point, this may be big oil's only chance to stay relevant, unless they want to just start producing electricity only.
Right.
So I do think that kind of, politics do come into play in things. So maybe there's going to be some support now.
So before they were resistant because it didn't benefit their interest, but now big oil is saying, oh, well, this is our only method to remain, like a viable source.
Maybe. I mean, this is all maybe. I mean,
it's just speculation.
But I mean,
but
maybe
it's interesting to think about.
But I mean, at the end of the day, and this is where you have to be, it's a gut check and you have to be honest, it's not very efficient right now.
Well, yeah, at this stage.
Yeah, it's pretty inefficient. So there's a lot of pushback, I guess. And it's not unfair or unfounded. But
so is it in a liquid form?
Yeah, it's a compressed liquid gas.
Okay.
And then it's injected as a gas into the combustion chamber.
Is it a conventional? So it's a conventional engine.
Yes, it's a 4-stroke auto cycle. It's not just putting a set of hydrogen injectors on a regular engine, though.
Right.
Apparently, there's a whole lot of.
Yeah, I imagine with those pressures that you're talking about, I mean, you would have to have something capable of supporting, upwards of 2,500 horsepower or whatever.
Well, it's not really that, because I mean, it combusts really nicely and cylinder pressures aren't really spiking. Because I mean, think about it.
Really?
The test bed was a 3-cylinder Yaris engine. I mean, it's
really?
not like
we're okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not that it.
The way that you were talking about those pressures made me think that like it was something very difficult to control.
It is a little bit difficult to control because hydrogen does ignite a lot easier than an air fuel charge.
Okay.
Because they've messed with a couple other ways of injecting. Like they've tried to use it as a diesel, so homogeneous charge compression ignition.
Mm-hmm.
But you need insane compression ratios to cold start, and it's not exactly controllable. I mean, it's controllable, but not refined. And then there's port injection, where you use just standard fuel injection. But because hydrogen is so thin and the molecules are so small, they can sneak past the intake valve at almost no opening. So you can get intake backfires,
So
which are real nasty.
So so are we still seeing like the same suck, squeeze, bang, blow?
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yeah, and it's direct injection. So, there's not, it sneaking back into the intake tract type of thing. And it's right now, it's just not very efficient. I mean, that's the long and short of it. You're not getting as much power. I mean, even compared to a hydrogen fuel cell, you're talking half of the efficiency of a hydrogen fuel cell. I mean, hard to really sell that, right? But it's also the first real test.
Right.
Like,
well, hey, listen, the range on an electric vehicle at the beginning was, only like 40 miles. So, let's not rule it out completely. I think it's interesting,
Well, the fact that there is a big automaker, a big OEM in Toyota willing to put the money.
And listen, if anybody's going to get it done, it's probably Toyota.
Yeah. So, I mean, is hydrogen the answer? Right now, it doesn't look like it, but the fact that people are looking makes me happy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, that's really what that comes down to. I don't think it's necessarily the answer, and certainly not in its current form.
Okay.
But that gives me hope for the internal combustion engine, because as a lot of people pointed out, there's that soul in the noise, So
that's another good question. What does it sound like?
From the videos they put out, it sounds like an internal
regular engine.
It sounds like a 3-cylinder, pissed off little bumblebee, because I mean it's a race car. It's but I don't know. I mean, the idea, I don't know if I would want to roll around with something 400 pounds of hydrogen in the back of my car with the way these people drive. Like a fuel tank is scary enough. Like,
certainly not a Yaris. Out of all the cars, I'd want something with a little more protection.
Well, and that's the thing too, is the Yaris, because it's a GR Yaris, so it's a little race car. It had no rearward visibility because the tanks took up the entire. There's some challenges to overcome.
Okay.
But it definitely is interesting, and it gives me hope for the future,
Yeah, I'm going to check it out, man. I'm interested to hear your thoughts in detail on it. And for those of you at home who are also interested in hearing Greg's thoughts and checking out the video, go check out enginelabs.com to read the entire article. Greg, you said that you had something else going on in Engine Labs. What's the other thing?
I basically covered one of it's not. It's an RY45. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated, so bear with me. About 2 months ago now, we talked about turning Chevy's NASCAR engine, the R07, into like a street strip engine. Well, there's the Ford NASCAR engines, which are now being turned into other things. But the way it worked was there's the FR9, which is the actual Cup Ford engine. And then there was the Roush Yates RY45, which was kind of meant for non-NASCAR, but it still had a lot of cues from the FR5.
Right.
Well, there's another company called Wilkins Motorsports who is making or building it, RY45s for different things. Like, he's all over. I mean, he actually was the 2019, I believe, top sportsman champion. So he was, he races NHRA, so he drag races. He's building this one that we featured on Engine Labs for the Pro 4 stadium truck. I don't know off-road very well, but it's like the Amsoil off-road series or something.
Okay.
And it's awesome. So this very versatile engine. But yeah, so I mean, we're talking, 2.2 ish horsepower per cubic inch, naturally aspirated.
Nice.
The thing spins to 8,500 RPM. Really flat torque curve for something spinning that high.
Yeah.
It's a really wild look into something that was originally designed for NASCAR and is being applied elsewhere.
That's really cool.
But and they use plenty of NASCAR stuff. I mean, enough that there's stuff they wouldn't talk about. I mean, because
really,
yeah, the video we recap basically was from Jeff Honeycutt, who you've actually probably read on our site because he's one of our freelancers. He does a really good job at prying information out of these guys. So when he can't pry something, they're really not willing to share it. Because he's really good at getting, all the details. But there's like the cylinder heads, from what I understand, are very, very, very similar. Wink, wink to the cup cylinder heads. So they wouldn't talk much about that. But yeah, so it's just really cool to see these, NASCAR engines being repurposed and redesigned for other things, because it would be a shame for all that technology to just live and die in one sport.
Well, what was that? The old Chevy NASCAR engine that people were sticking in all sorts of things. It was like a
SB 2.2.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that's I love seeing that kind of stuff. It's just, obviously it's cost prohibitive to do it while it's a current engine. But as Jeff has pointed out, 2023 is probably when we're going to see some engine rule changes in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we're going to have, all these, R07s if you're a Chevy guy, or, FR9 or RY, 45s if you're a Ford guy. Not flooding the market, but I mean, they're going to become available at a relatively affordable price.
Very cool.
So, getting out ahead of it's kind of fun to look at. And
that's awesome, man. Well, one more time, everybody at home, go check out enginelabs.com for all that tech goodness. Right now on Street Muscle, we actually have a couple of really cool articles that I know you guys are going to love. So the first is actually an examination of SpeedCore's latest creation, as it were, for the Fast 9 movie, right? So from the Fast and Furious series, we've talked to Rob Finkelman about it, resident film expert. We've talked to the guys at SpeedCore. We've talked to Sean Smith, the designer of the car. We've had all those people on the show. Say what you want about the Fast series or the Fast franchise. They come out with some crazy cars in these movies, and they're just getting crazier. I think in this movie they go to space or something. I don't know.
That's what I've heard, and the memes are on fire.
Oh yeah, they're lighting Vin Diesel up.
Like, I don't know what he did in this movie. I it's got to be something with family, right?
It's something about family, dude.
But like family in space, who knows? Maybe
the only thing stronger than gravitational pull is family.
Well, that's why they made the SpeedCore car out of carbon fiber, right? Is because they need to lower the weight so they could put it into orbit. I don't know if that's part of the plot or not. I'm just making stuff up. So
no. But so we have one of our freelancers. He did a very in-depth dive on the car and the Charger, some historical stuff on the Charger itself. But the car is crazy. Go check out that article if you want to know the details. See some really detailed shots of the interior of the car, which I don't think you get to see in the movie. So if you want to know more about the car itself, the drivetrain that's in there, which is really wild. It's a mid-engine setup now. It's got this crazy back hatch. The SpeedCore crew took that Coke bottle shape that the Chargers have and just accentuated it tenfold. So really cool car. Go check it out. It's a fun article. And also the other article that I know you guys are going to love is one from Rob Finkelman again. And it's Rob's Movie Muscle, one of his monthly columns that we do. And this one, Rob and I went back and forth quite a few times. Usually, I'll pitch him something. I'll say, hey, why don't we do this car this month? And every once in a while, he'll pitch me something. And we were having trouble coming up with something this month. So I threw out an oddball at Rob, and he went for it. I was actually looking online, and I saw the Peterson Museum has this car on display. So if you guys want to go check it out, you can head over there because they're back open. The car is none other than the DMC DeLorean from Back to the Future. So I know it's a little bit unconventional, still an American automaker, although a very brief American automaker. And it's not exactly muscle, but it's a very cool car from a very cool movie. And
I don't know, man. 1.21 gigawatts, and I hate saying that because it should be gigawatts, but it says gigawatts. That sounds like a lot of muscle. I mean, because you can convert horsepower into watts.
Yeah,
a lot of horsepower.
That's true. That is true. The interesting tidbit from the article, I'll give it away, but there's more than just this. So read the article if you guys want to find out some really cool information about a prolific movie car. So I guess at the time, which would have been 1980-ish. Yeah.
Wait, the movie was 83?
Yeah, so the movie came out in 83, but the car was already a failure by the time the movie came out, which added to the comedic presence of the car. But so 1980-ish, there was like a mandate. I guess the DOT or whatever governing body was trying to improve fuel economy and also like keep people from speeding. So they mandated that all speedometers could only go to 85 or 80 miles an hour. And so for the movie, it had to go to 88 miles an hour. They actually swapped out the speedometer for one that went to 95 miles an hour. And get this, it took 10.2 seconds to hit 60 miles an hour. So, yeah, that little V6 was not exactly muscle, but it works for this month's movie muscle. If you guys like Back to the Future, go check it out. If you like the DeLorean, go check it out. If for nothing more than a few laughs, it's a good article.
And if you don't like Back to the Future, you can go back to Soviet Russia because something's wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. If you don't like the Back to the Future series, like, yeah, man, there's seriously something wrong with your funny bone. It's such a good movie. Who was your favorite character? Was it Marty or Doc?
It's got to be Marty.
Really?
Yeah, I mean Doc is cool. Doc is, but Doc is Doc, and I mean, there's some moral issues I have. Like, why would you endanger your assistant like that? He's a child. I mean, was he even 18 at the very beginning? Like, why would you endanger a minor like that?
I think having a time machine, really broadens that range for mistakes. Like, you just go back in time and fix it. So I don't know, but I actually really liked the villain. I liked Biff in the whole series.
I like watching him getting his comeuppance.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he's a great villain. He plays that role really well. But Marty's great. I don't know if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, the cartoon. I am. It's a hilarious show, and I love how like they took this, kind of somewhat wholesome movie, sort of,
and turned it completely unwholesome.
Yeah, and just like morphed it into this like weird cartoon show. We probably can't talk too much about it.
I will say this, even though, I think the fact that I'm a huge Michael J. Fox fan.
Yeah.
But Morty is not my favorite character. And I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm saying he's just not my favorite in the series.
No, Rick is the character.
Yeah,
the show is about Rick. So it's interesting to kind of see that dynamic flip. But that's what I was getting at. Like, so in Back to the Future, I felt like Doc was the more interesting character. We just don't see, he's not the main character. So yeah. I guess that's why I always had questions about him. But anyways, if you're a fan, go check it out. I think that'll do for this week, Greg.
We've gone pretty far off topic.
Yeah, to bring it back, if you guys are interested in seeing more episodes where we virtually build some cars using configurators, stay tuned, because I was just talking to our buddy Rob, the third leg of our tripod when we do those, and we have some really cool stuff in store for you guys. All I can say is mid-engine. So without further ado, I guess we'll let you guys go. Thanks as always. Check back with us every noon Pacific time on Fridays. We'll have a new episode for you guys. Until next time, peace.